In this English pronunciation tutorial, you're going to learn the 2-second rule. The 2-second rule is one of the most important points you can ever learn for your English pronunciation. It's something that I spend hours working on with my private clients, and it completely changes the way that you speak English and how people will understand you when you're speaking English. So if you want to feel more confident when you're speaking English, if you don't want to have people asking you to repeat yourself or constantly asking you where you're from because you're mispronouncing English, and if you want to just be more confident, more happy, and know that you're speaking English more clearly, then the 2-second rule is going to be essential for your English speech. It only takes a few minutes to learn, so let's dive straight into the tutorial and learn it. Hello and welcome to English School Online, the channel that teaches you English pronunciation so you speak English clearly, English confidently, and have more fun speaking English. The 2-second rule is something that I developed because in working with clients from all around the world, I see so many people making this common mistake in English. The mistake is this: when you're making a long English vowel sound, most people don't hold their lips in a steady position as they make the vowel sound. What happens is, as they're making the long English vowel sound, their lips are already moving to the position of the next sound that comes after that sound. And what happens as a result is it ends up not being clear what sound you're actually trying to make. So if you're changing your lips as you're supposedly trying to make one sound, the person that's listening to you, they're going to struggle to understand what sound you're actually trying to make. And then in words that have that are exactly the same apart from this one vowel sound, all of a sudden it can confuse your listener into, hang on, what are you trying to say? Okay. So learning this rule is going to completely change the way that you speak English, and it's going to make you super confident. So how do we do it? What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an example, 5 examples, one for each of the long vowel sounds in English. Okay, so you can see exactly what I mean when this rule is used correctly in your English speech. So let's start with the oo vowel sound, the long English vowel sound oo, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So when you make the long English vowel sound oo or any other English vowel sound, what you want to do when you're learning this rule is hold your lips in the same position as the vowel sound for 2 seconds after you have finished making the sound. Okay? And that's going to train you to stop moving on to the next sound before you have actually finished making this sound. So I'm going to give you an example of bad pronunciation. Then I'm going to give you an example of the correct pronunciation, and then I'm going to show you the 2-second rule in use for each of the 5 English vowel sounds. Okay, so let's look at oo, the long English vowel sound oo. Okay, and I've got my trusty notepad here with me. So if I say do, okay, do as in do you or I do, okay, do is a really common word in the English language. But what happens, instead of saying do you, where you make the sound correctly before you move on to the next one, I see a lot of people all the time going do you, or do you, or do you, okay, which isn't good pronunciation. So the correct pronunciation is this: do you, or I do. I do. Okay, if I say I do eat, I'm not going I do eat, where my lips are already moving to the next sound whilst I'm still making this one. I'm saying I do eat. All right. So let's look at the 2-second rule now, how it applies to this oo vowel sound. For practicing the oo vowel sound, we're going to start by doing this and follow along with me here. Oo, oo, oo. To begin with, just do that. Just make the vowel sound and then hold your lips in that position for 2 seconds afterwards. That's going to develop your awareness of your lips being in the correct position and actually maintaining your lips in that position until you're ready to move on to the next sound. Okay? If we then combine that up with a word, if we say I do, this is the 2-second rule. I do. I do. I do. I do. And then if we add another word onto the end of that, which is where it gets really difficult for most people, I do eat. I do eat. I do eat. Okay? So practice this. I'm going to move on to the next vowel sound now, but I really want you to practice this again and again and again, because when I do this with my clients, we spend hours on it because it makes such a big difference, okay? So it's really, really important for you to get comfortable, especially if you're doing this on your own, just practicing this again and again. Let's now look at the E sound, okay? So if I say the word seat, if I don't hold my lips in that position and wide enough in that position before I move on to the next sound, which would be T in the word seat, it's going to sound like I'm saying sit. Okay, so if I say seat, 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 can you see that my lips are already changing position as I'm making the long E sound, right? So let's now apply the 2-second rule. We're going to start by applying it to the sound itself. E, 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 E. Okay, now let's put it with a consonant at the beginning. C, 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 C. Okay, and now let's put a consonant at the end, which is where it gets really difficult and tricky. You do it like this. C, t, C, t, C, t, C, t. Okay, that is correct pronunciation. The bad pronunciation would be seat, 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 okay, or anything else. Because of time, I'm only giving you one example of the consonant at the end here, okay? Really, what you want to do is to be practicing every possible consonant in English at the end of each of the vowel sounds. And I can't do it here just from a time perspective, but on my English pronunciation membership website, which is what I'm developing at the moment and is going to be launching really, really soon, there's actually going to be video examples of every vowel sound combined up to every possible consonant combination. And the reason why that's so valuable and so important to learn is because you might find, okay, well actually E is easy, but you might find that E with another consonant at the end, like for example, is really difficult for you. So if you're interested in the membership site, either comment below or send me a message, because it's going to be launching really soon, and every single example is going to be covered on that, so your pronunciation is covered from all different angles. For now, let's move to the next long vowel sound, okay? So now we're going to look at the vowel sound or, okay? Now, if you move to another consonant sound as you're making the or, like T, okay, if you try to move to the T as you're making the or sound, ort, what you're going to do is exactly what I did there, which is dreadful, bad pronunciation. And that sounds completely wrong in British English, and it sounds really just not good, okay? And yet that's what I hear most people doing, okay? So step one, let's look at the or sound with the 2-second rule. Ready? Lips in the or position. Or. 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 Okay? Now, let's put the T at the end of it this time, okay? Or. 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 Okay? And now with a C beforehand, the letter C beforehand, core. 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 The reason why it is so important to learn the 2-second rule like this is because right now we're practicing this sound really slowly. When you speak English naturally in conversation, chances are you're going to be focused on what you're saying and not how you're saying it. So we want to practice this rule really slowly so it becomes natural at a slow speed and ingrained in your muscle memory at a slow speed. So then when you say it at native speed, you don't even have to think about how you're saying it, and you can just simply focus on what you're saying. When most people are just focused on what they're saying and they've not done training like this beforehand, that's when they end up saying it wrong, okay? So that's why it's so important to practice it just like this, exactly as we are now, all right? Let's move on to the next English vowel sound, which is ah, as in car, okay? So let's do the sound on its own first, followed by the 2-second rule. Ah, 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 ah. Now, let's add a T to the end of it. Ah, 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 ah. And then put a C beforehand. Car, car, car. And then at natural speed, cart, cart, cart. That's so much better, 100 times better than going cart, 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 which is bad, incorrect pronunciation. I'm going to give you one final example, which is the long English vowel sound When I work with my private clients, this is one of the first sounds that we usually work on because it's so difficult to actually hold your mouth in a steady position and have your mouth actually in the correct position here, okay? And so often I will see clients when they're new to English pronunciation going her or were, okay? Is really, really important to get right. So applying the 2-second rule to is an essential thing to do. So let's go ahead and do it. Okay. Now let's add a T to the end of that. Okay. And then let's add an H sound beforehand. We're going to get, at native speed, hurt. Okay, slow down with the 2-second rule. Hurt, 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 hurt. Okay, I cannot recommend enough just practicing this again and again and again and again and again. The reason why it's so important to practice is most of the time you might feel like you're holding your lips in the correct position, in a still position, but then if you video yourself and watch yourself back, you'll realise actually your lips have changed quite a lot as you've held that long English vowel sound, okay? So it's essential to do. The more you practice this, the better it's going to get, and I promise you it's going to transform your English pronunciation, okay? And you can get immediate results from doing it right away. When you start getting this rule correctly and then putting it to words that you use every day in your English speech, immediately you get a transformation of your whole English pronunciation and speaking, okay? Thumbs up if you've liked the video. Comment below with any questions that you've got, any difficulties that you're having with it. If you have any friends or family that could benefit from learning the 2-second rule and improving their English pronunciation, then tell them about the channel, share the video with them and get them to subscribe so they can improve their pronunciation. And I cannot wait to see you in next week's English pronunciation tutorial. I'll see you next week.